crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Ink It Up tutorial, you're going to learn how to use sponge daubers to color these black and white parts of the Pattern Party Designer Series paper by Stampin' Up. Let me just show you what the Pattern Party looks like in all the pieces. Then I'm going to put these away. This is just a bag I have for these. I'm going to put these away because this is a full set I have. And then I'm just going to, oops, that's a hitchhiker. And then I'm going to just show you the few sets I have to color, and we'll go from there. So on one side of the Pattern Party is colored, right, like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip these over. Now on the other side is like this. So you can just imagine the possibilities with all of this other side. You could leave it black and white, that's fine. Here, let's not mix these up. This is my new set of Pattern Party. So Pattern Party, it comes in 12 by 12. It comes in it's a huge pack of Pattern Party. It comes in like 48 sheets in a pack. It's something that you can get as a host, meaning when your order is $150 or more, you can use your rewards to get this paper. That's the way you get this paper. I mean, it's fantastic. And I'm going to show you at the end of this video projects I created with 4 different pieces of this Pattern Party. And we're going to make some more together. Now this one is really nice. I probably wouldn't color this one too much because it's really just nice and black already. And you can even color the front sides as well. Everything I'm showing you can be done on any piece of paper. It doesn't have to be Pattern Party. In fact, oh, there we go. This is an awesome one. I love the leaf one. I even, well, as I was going through this, I thought, you know, we don't just have to use Pattern Party. Look at this for fall. You could take the black and white pieces of the cute Halloween paper too. Let's not digress, but I just grabbed that out because I was thinking, wow, this isn't just good for fall, so is the Halloween paper, the black and white parts of that. So here's another one. This one reminds me of bird's feet. Bird's feet. Okay, here's another piece. So you can see how many designs there are. It's just fantastic. There are 48 sheets and there's 12. So there's 12 sheets and then it repeats. And in the 12 sheets you get 24 designs. Okay, so I made a tag with that one. We can play with that one. So it's just fantastic. So I figured we would color these couple pieces like that together. And because I'm making some tags, and I like to show you projects kind of like later. You'll get pleasantly surprised. Let's put it that way when I show you the projects later, some completed projects. So let's jump into this. So you're going to take. So what you want to do is you want to take your this. Now there's so many ways to do this. And first of all, I just want to say something about using sponge daubers to begin with. So I'm just going to grab a tag for a second just to show you. So for example, I'm not going to do this. Sponge dauber, what I'm showing you now is a completely different way of using sponge daubers. You might be used to this way. We have sponge daubers. Sponge daubers come 5 in a pack, by the way. I just wanted to tell you, here's the product number. I didn't have time to put the product number in the description of the video. But I did put the link to my store in the description of the video. And 133773. So I did put that in my video. I put the link to my Stampin' Up store. So you get 5 sponge daubers in a pack. Now typically, if you've been using these for years, you're a typical crafter. You might do something like this. I'm not going to do this right now because it's kind of a little bit wet. But one technique of sponge daubers is going around the edges of things, especially when you have stitching and bringing out the stitching in something. Maybe we'll do that at the end after we get a little bit of ink off of this. Okay, so that's one typical use of a sponge dauber, but I'm doing a whole different use of it. I'm coloring the Designer Series paper. That's the use I'm doing. So what I'm doing is just something you might not have used before, this technique. Now I'm going to take a couple drops of, this is called cinnamon cider. Just take a couple drops, okay? Now you don't have to use drops, but this is just way easier for me. You could use the stamp pad, and you could do it the long way, which is what you could get the cinnamon cider ink, and you could dip into your stamp pad, and you could color this whole piece of paper. But I'm showing you just, I think, a way easier way, you know, in other words, a quicker way of doing this. So what we want to do is we will make this paper cinnamon cider. And so now the next thing you're going to need, let me just grab it. It's a spritzer. Now you don't have to use a spritzer. You could just put a couple drops of water. I like the spritzer for the control it gives me. This is just our little spray spritzers. So let's see. Oops. I'm going to take the cap off. You could put a couple drops just right on there. I'm going to spray a couple drops onto my silicone mat. Now I'm going to do this to my hand because I've already got this all over the place before by spraying too much. Let me get the finger. See, I wanted to wear the finger dauber. I wanted to wear it today. I'm just spraying some extra. See what I'm doing? I'm spraying some extra water. If you don't do this, you're gonna your leaves will be too dark. So maybe give it a few. Everybody always wants to know my formulas. 2 drops and 3 sprays. How about that? 2 drops and 3 sprays. Only because you asked me things that really I have no formulas for. It just kind of just trying to see if you're just trying to get the color right is all you're trying to do. I'm going to take out my little spatula side of the take your pick tool. I'm going to kind of mix the water, mix it in there with the dye, with the cinnamon cider dye. And again, if all you don't have a re-inker, say you don't have a re-inker. Maybe you don't have a cinnamon cider re-inker. Maybe you don't have a spritzer. You just go use your stamp pad, stamp your pad upside down onto the mat, right? And then add some water to it. You're just trying to get the ink to be lighter. I think that's a good color. Now let's try the color. I do have a piece of scrap paper here. When I say scrap paper, it's not actually, I wouldn't use my basic white cardstock for this. I'm just going to use a piece of, this is like what we're going to be coloring on. This is just a piece of cheap cardstock, the kind that you would get at Michael's, like you won't want to color on your nice cardstock. So this is, we're going to test this out. We're going to see, is this too dark? Before I start coloring my leaves, right? Let's test it. Let's test it on the paper over here. Okay? I'm thinking that's good. That's a good color. So you test it over here. Now the important thing to remember is we're sort of watercoloring. Therefore, this isn't like a blending thing I'm showing you. I've shown you blending with the blending brushes. This is actually, I'm coloring the paper. I'm coloring it full stop. So you're not, it's going to dry quick, and so we want to just do it quickly. So I'll say hi to you in a minute after we color these leaves. So I don't need to color the whole paper, but I'm just going to color like the part I want to make a tag with. I'm going to show you the whole process of making the tag and everything. Okay? Is that cool or what? So this is watercoloring. In other words, this is quicker, easier to me than doing the whole, you know, dot, dot, dot in the ink pad, dot, dot, dot over there, dot, dot, dot. Okay, it's way easier. Now, I have a lot of ink left over, so I'm going to grab another piece of paper. Let's see, I did this one yesterday. Let's not use that one. Let's find something else that I can use. Here we go. I'm just getting another piece to use up the rest of my ink because I'm making a lot of tags. Now, I don't need to color any more of that paper because we're making a tag out of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get, I don't want to color flowers. Maybe this would make a nice fall tag. So I'm just going to put this down there and just use up the rest of my ink. Normally I would have, you know, done a lot of these at once, and that's why I'm telling you to like just go ahead and use up your ink. And whatever the area that you use it up, don't worry. That's the part you're going to make a tag out of. So I have what's called Tailor made tags. We're going to go ahead and do that right away. Then I'm going to say hi to you, and then we're going to do it with the penguins. So we're going to do this with fall, then we're going to do it with the penguins. Now all I got to do now is wash this off. So I hope you see how easy that is. Let me put the tag down to give you the big picture, the die for a second, and we'll grab my machine so you can kind of go, oh, that's what she means. Why she didn't color the whole thing? Why is she doing it that way? All right, so these are called Tailor made tag dies. So let's take one. Let's see if I colored enough. See that? I colored enough. Or the other big tag. I like the kind of rounded one. See? Something like that. You get the idea? This one, oops, I didn't color enough, so you'd have to use, here, let's get a little tag. Oh no, let's try this one. Nope, maybe the smaller. Let's get this little smaller one. So you see what's going on? I colored just the area I need to die cut. And something like that. Pretty cool. Now it gets a little wet, so I'm letting it dry, and I'm just running. I'm still connected for a second. I have to disconnect my microphone, and I'm just rinsing this off really quick so we can do the next part without me getting ink all over. I'm putting down my mic. Okay. Putting back on my mic. So now the next part, I could do all 3 colors at once on the silicone mat because I don't care about the next colors mixing, because the next colors we do, the next projects we do, they are coordinated colors. Like whereas the cinnamon cider was not one of my colors for that project. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you cinnamon cider fall tags. Let's go ahead and cut them. And then what I'm going to do is show you these 3, which you might recognize from some paper that you might have from Celebration. Okay, let's clean off this little. All right, so you see what I did? I cleaned it off. Also give that a chance to dry a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm grabbing my machine. I'm going to put my machine over here to the side. I'm grabbing the, just so you know, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the big one. A lot of you have been getting this as part of your starter kit. It's a great way of getting the machine. You can make it your starter kit, as I've shown in other videos. So all I'm doing for the sandwich here is sandwich, so you know, it's kind of off camera. I'm just showing you so you get the big picture of what's going on. I'm doing plate number 1, right? Plate number 2 is the thin die adapter. Okay, plate number 3 is one of these scratch plates. And plate number 3, it's usually not a scratch, it's a top plate. So let's go ahead and run these through. Let's put the little sandwich there. So we're going to go ahead and put this. And at this point, I would put cardstock behind the tag. I'm literally just ripping a piece. This is cheap cardstock. I'm putting it, you don't want to just make a tag with designer series paper. The reason why, there's a reason why. You don't want that to be on the back of your fall tag, right? You don't want that color mermaid pattern. So that's the reason you need to put some paper behind your tag, and I'll glue those together. So we're putting that on the sandwich. We're putting the lid on it. I'm rolling it through. And now you can see why I only colored part of it. And like I said, I'm not showing you all the die cutting part. I've shown lots of die cutting in my videos, but it's off to the side, my die cutting machine. I can only put so much in my camera view here, since it's a coloring tutorial. But here's the magic. We have colored the designer series paper. We have made a beautiful tag, and you put some cardstock behind it, and you can even flip this over if you want, and that has a little bit of ink on it, or you could just leave it like that, and you just have white on the back. So that way the tag is not flimsy. Use better cardstock than this. I'm just using cheap cardstock because that's all I have right now. You go ahead and use our basic white. Use our thick basic white, probably be better than this kind of cheapy stuff. Oh, one little trick. I like to teaching you tips and tricks. So don't try to adhere your tag together until you use the corner of your, what is this? The trimmer, the Stampin' trimmer. Use any corner where something doesn't slip. Put something in the corner, right? And then put this on top of it in the corner, and then you'll have a perfectly aligned layered tag. So the tags, they're stuck together with some seal, but they're perfectly layered, and they're not going to slip apart. And now they're not flimsy. So you don't have a flimsy tag made of just designer series paper. So there you go. And then you can write your message on the back. And we could do the same thing again. Super quick with this one. And we'll show you at the end of the video. I'll show you all my projects at the end. We'll just go ahead and put that there with the other piece of scrap. Put that there. Put that there. I'm just making sure there's some white cardstock behind it. It's a little wet, but it's all good. When you seal it, it'll be fine. Okay, that's the sandwich, same sandwich. So I've done some fall tags, and I have some little acorn trinkets that are in clearance. The acorn trinkets are adorable. And I'm waiting on I gave away one of my Nuts About Squirrel stamp sets, so I was thinking I could put some squirrels on here, some leaves. There you go. So although you die cut them together, they're not glued together until you do. This one probably doesn't need any help with the alignment because it's so small. But it's only when I'm making big tags I use that little edge of the trimmer trick to align them. So there you go. You can write your message on the back. I'll show you ones with ribbon and a trinket later. So now, let me say hi. And then we're going to do these other 3 colors. My mat should be dry. You don't want to mix colors on your silicone mat. Let's get rid of this. And we're going to keep that there. So far, so good. We're going to color this one next. This is the paper we're coloring next. And we can even color some of this paper next because I have such a big piece of it. All right, let me get rid of this machine to get it off of my table for a second. It's taking up a lot of room. All right, I hope you love using sponge daubers for many ways, but this way is just one more use of using them. So when you got to be aware when you're using your inks, which colors coordinate together. So the next thing I'm going to do after I say hi is I'm going to show you Misty Moonlight. Here, let me tilt my camera a bit. There we go. Misty Moonlight. It tends to droop. Misty Moonlight. There we go. just jade, and fresh freesia. That's what we're doing next. All right, so moving the camera, saying hi. Ooh, lots of you guys come on for my Ink It Up. Thank you. Hello, Caroline, Yvonne, Bpree from Georgia, Diana from Kentucky, Nola, who's always here, one of my paper chefs. Well, you guys, a lot of you guys are my paper chefs. Deborah, Janet, Patty. Hey, I'm glad you got the notification, Patty. Sometimes some people say the notifications aren't working. You just got to hit the bell once in a while to get notified of the videos. Let's see. Again, my camera's drooping. Let me just see if I can't get this to go. Stay, camera. Stop drooping. And this is a new tripod, too. It's still drooping. I got a new tripod to keep from drooping, and it's still drooping. One of these days, I'm just going to have to just go back to using duct tape, which is my first YouTube videos were made with duct tape. I kid you not. I just duct taped my camera to a tripod for a regular camera, and that were my first YouTube videos. All right. So, Janet. Okay, Vanessa. Hello, Vanessa. Patty. Janet, I'll talk to you offline. I don't talk about those things on my YouTube channel. Melody. Let's see. Janet, Terry, Deb, Stampin with Marie from Washington. Yeah, I did. I literally duct taped my camera to my tripod. That's how I did it. And hello, Maddie. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take, it doesn't matter which colors. I'm just going to do them all. We're going to do them all in this next paper. So we're going to do a couple drops of Misty Moonlight, right? And hello, Sarah, too. We'll now do the little spray. We'll add a little bit of water to the Misty Moonlight. Okay, again, hold your hand there because this is, I'll do other tutorials with the spritzer, what you can do when the spritzer's further away. Okay? So that's our Misty Moonlight. Get our little spatula and mix it around. All right, so we have mixed Misty Moonlight. Okay, now you're going to get a tissue and you're just going to wipe your little spatula because I'm not mixing colors right now. These are colors that dry quickly on the paper. Now we're going to do our Just Jade. Just Jade. A couple drops of Just Jade. I'm going to use it all up when I'm done with you, so it's not like I'm worried about getting too much, right? A couple drops of Just Jade, a couple sprays. Remember I said for those of you that have to have your formulas, the formula is 2 drops and 3 sprays if you really need a formula. We're not doing splattering right now, although sometimes splattering happens as a byproduct. At a different time, I'll talk about splattering boxes and coloring your boxes and stuff like that. And now I want to use fresh freesia because that also goes with it. So if you have guessed yet, I am trying to match up a couple drops of this, the Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper. I'm matching up Penguin Playmates because those are 3 colors that are in the Penguin Playmates. So when I use my bucket of crafty goodness of Penguin Playmates with all the little things I have in there, I'm just spraying a little bit. Yeah, Misty Moonlight's so cool, right? Yvonne, it's such a cool color. I think that one needs another little, I think we need some more ink on this one. This one looks like a little bit light to me. But if I put too much ink, then you just add more water. You're just trying to get the color right. And like I said, you're going to test it on your scrap papers first. All right, using a little spatula. I'm thinking it looks good. All right, so now we have our colors mixed. We have our sponge daubers. We have our little scrap of paper. We're going to test these out. And I'm going to grab this piece of paper. This is the one we're going to color. Putting that over here. We'll color with the Misty Moonlight first, but let's move these off to the side. We're going to take a little bit of that ink and put it up there and see how dark it is. We don't want to go, yeah, that's good. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to test it and be like, oh, that's too dark, right? And that's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to go in there. Okay. And then I'll go down here and I'll do it down here. That way the next one will be a little bit different. And I'll later on I'll color some more. I just want it to be wide enough for my tag. Okay, and then let's see. We're going to do some. We'll put the fresh freesia in the middle. Even though I would usually tend to do the next darker color, that's what I would tend to do. the next darker color. But I think I'm going to put this in the middle because I think I'm going to make 2 tags out of this one. Just 1 for you guys, but 2. I need to get 5 tags altogether. I'm making friendship tags. You'll see them. Okay. So far, I need some. Put some over here, and then I'm going to need some. Yeah, we'll need some green over there, and I can do green over there so we can have the just jade. Okay, and then we put some of this. And if it looks like a hot mess, it is right now. But that's why that's why when you do this, then afterwards you make your background, then it's not a hot mess anymore. So now we're going to do some just jade. I mean, I just did a bunch of experimentation, and I thought these colors went together. I was so happy to get some colors in the mail of my re-inkers because I was jonesing. I only had, for the last week, I was just working with only black ink. Can you imagine me sitting with 1 color of ink? But I was so happy to get my other colors of ink in the mail that I just was like, I'm inking it up. All right, so something like that, because now we're going to do that tag trick again where we put the tag over the top. And I'm going to just move all this stuff for a moment so we don't get ink all over the place. And of course, as I mentioned before, I would totally use up all that ink before you put that away. I mean, once you have the ink. So let it dry a minute. I'm not going to wash my mat this time because my mat is still has ink on it. I'm going to use it. So let's let this dry a bit. And we grab our little dies. Again, we're getting our tailor-made tag dies. Any dies. It doesn't have to be tailor-made tags. Think about it. A background card, right? A background die. You're just going to put something on there. So let's try this big one. We'll do one of these, kind of at an angle. I think that'll look cute. Something like that. And then we're going to put that piece of scrap paper behind it. Okay. Now the reason I like to cut my paper 6 by 6 is not only because I do paper shares a lot and things like that, but 6 by 6 is what fits in the die cutting machine. So I tend to cut my paper 6 by 6 a lot of the times. That's why I do that. Okay, what I'm doing, by the way, is just rolling this through. Let's get rid of these inkers for a second. They're all in the way. Luckily, the caps are on. And let me go ahead and put the cap on this one, my spritzer. All right, there we go. Here's our... I'm going to take this, take that, take that. Okay, you have your, right? It's already sealed together, but you're not gluing it yet. Because sometimes, there's a couple reasons I don't glue it yet first. I just think I like to glue it later, but sometimes the inside is, like if it's, here, let's see. It doesn't really, the glue doesn't really work as well when the paper's wet, okay? Like, you know, when you have wet paper, you don't want to glue it. I'm going to glue it only for the sake of teaching, but I would normally, like, let these papers dry, maybe use a little brayer on them. Okay? See? See how cool that is? It's a nice extra layer. You don't want that to be a background of your tag. That's whimsy, and it's wet. So you want this cardstock to be in the back. Again, use thick Whisper White, not the cheap stuff I'm using. But you know what I should say? Use whatever you have. That's my motto. Use whatever you have. In fact, if you have sponge daubers sitting in your house, they're not Stampin' Up. It doesn't matter. You don't have Stampin' Up colors. The idea is coordinate your projects. It doesn't matter what products you use when I'm showing you techniques. It matters that you coordinate the colors, or your projects just won't look good, and you'll go, what's wrong? Why doesn't my project look good? Well, you're just randomly grabbing colors out of the air instead of using color theory and making sure colors coordinate. And I just let the graphic artists use the color theory. They come out with packs of designer series paper and they tell you what colors are in them, and that's how I know which colors coordinate. All right, let's finish up this project, and then I'll show you my project. So we're going to finish up this by, and we could do another die cut with that tag. All right, so back to what we did earlier. So now we need little crafty goodness. We need some crafty goodness. I told you about my bucket of crafty goodness. If you have seen my scan and cut tutorials, you know that I cut out loads of this stuff at once. I got this from the Dollar Tree, this little case. So let's make, Let's make the little, I mean, I'm just kind of showing you the concept. See, you have your little cute guy, right? Or you know, one of these little guys. I mean, here, do you see how they coordinate perfectly though? This is the point. This is the point. I'm using fresh freesia. I'm using just jade and misty moonlight. Look how these little critters coordinate perfectly with this. Okay, so and I even, this one was a different dye. I used this layering diorama dyes. They look cute on there too. So here, we could put a fox on there. I haven't done a fox one yet. Let's do a fox. Maybe a fox and a penguin. Let's see. Because my little saying has something to do with friends. And they look like, here, we can make it like the little friends here. You're going to have to kind of do that. Okay. A little bit tight fit. Maybe I can do a snowman and a fox. Or here, I can use this one and a fox. Here we go. Because that's not as tight of a fit. You see what I'm doing though? And this one actually looks cuter with this little scarf, but you got to have, it's kind of a tight fit. So we'll put a little Christmas tree over there, or maybe one of these. And let's see if that works better with the jade behind it. Nope, I think that soft sea foam. Okay, so now I got my little layout, and I'm going to actually have a little sign that says, to the coolest friend. So we'll die cut that. So where am I getting the coolest friend? I'm getting it from here. This one, to the coolest friend. Here's another little trick for you. I like to teach lots of tips and tricks. Just something I discovered. So for this one, I am using a piece of basic white because I had a piece. And look at the difference between basic white and this is basic white. But then look at the difference between even the color and the texture and the thickness of the cheap cardstock I'm using. This was a card base I took out, and I was like, oh, good. So this is to the coolest friend ever. Check out this die. This die is from, gosh, I think it's from my Give It a Whirl, but it might not be. It might be from one of my other sets. But anyway, this is one of the dies I have. And so when I stamped this little saying here, to the coolest friend ever, I was able to get this die to just cut out to the coolest friend. I didn't need the ever. Well, I mean, I would have liked the ever, but the die just didn't fit the ever. So I'm just going to go and see if I can't get that to fit on there. I was just using the stamp. Normally I would stamp it again, but I just used it so it has a lot of ink on it. I'm just stamping in black. So when you go like this, is that cool? You go to the coolest friend ever, and it just gets rid of the ever perfectly. I'm just going to go ahead and die cut that. You don't have to actually see this part because you already know how to die cut. But you get the idea. So we're going to put that on this tag, and I'm going to, whoops, I may end up using the little guy with the cute little Just Jade scarf. We shall see. So, oh, by the way, if you're going to use this, you guys were telling me, go get sticky notes. So I got some sticky notes from last time. If you watched my Give It a Whirl series, you saw me rip. When I used the painter's tape, I ripped everything. So now I'm going to use sticky notes to hold this up. I just didn't have any the other day. I'm very limited in what I have, so I was like, oh, okay, now I have sticky notes. And someone said, one of my crafty friends said, oh, they make sticky note tape. It's like, oh, that's so cool. Like sticky note actually makes a tape that's actually made of sticky notes. I didn't know that. I just used the sticky part of the tape. So this is what I did. I just die cut that. So what I'm trying to do is show you the whole project, because I don't like to leave my viewers with this like mystery at the end of my videos. Well, how did she get that project done? How did she do the whole project? Okay, so that's all. Something like that. Or like that. Okay, and then I'll show you about the little bit of the tag. So I used some snowflakes I cut out from my bucket of crafty goodness. Let's say this little snowflakes from the gift. I think it's from the gift giving dies or something. I forget what it's called. These are called stitch snowflakes. You can use those too. This little thing, just so you know, when I use this twine, it is from, and some of you might still have it. You might be hoarders like me. This is, Calypso Coral is one of the colors that you use in this suite. Don't worry about the measurements. Just figure it out. There's no measurements. Just figure out how much twine you want to use and how big you want your bow to be. I mean, sometimes like 8 inches is good for a tag, 7 inches, but I'm using a little bit bigger because I want my bow to be a little bigger. And this is Calypso Coral. It's one of the coordinating colors. So I thought that would look good on the tag. And even if you can't get this twine, you can dye your twine. Any color, if you get our basic white twine in our basic twine assortment, you can just dye it any color you want it. Okay, then what I want to use is glittered organdy. This is black glittered organdy was my favorite, but now, I don't know. It's a close second between white glittered organdy and black glittered organdy. These are both sort of like my favorite ribbons now. They have glitter built into them, plus they're malleable and they're easy to use. It's kind of like there's almost like these little tiny wires inside. So put that in there. You could have tied the knot after I put this in there. It doesn't really matter. I'm just telling you, put a knot for the bow and you do this. Loop that through. Okay. You probably want your bow to like stick out a little bit. So you pull your bow out. Okay, good, good, good. And then you take once you get them flat the way you want them, you want the glitter side up. So kind of roll these a bit. Roll them a little bit. In other words, to make the glitter side stick up, because you can twist them, because that's what's really nice about this ribbon. Get them together like this. Put your fingers there and kind of trim them off one angle the same way, so they're not kind of all gnarly going in different directions. Although that's fine too. Okay, stick that down. I'm so happy I'm getting another tag done while you guys are playing with me, so we'll put him up there. And of course, Wink Estella never hurts anybody. Putting Wink Estella on everything, that's that glitter brush. You glitter everything with Wink Estella, make everything shine. So, it's always fun. I'm just covering up that sort of little extra blob of basic. That way it looks like 3 colors, even though there was a little blob of blue in that one. Or not blue, Misty Moonlight. What I'm doing right now is I'm taking, I don't know which Wink Estella has more in it. Wink Estella is something that you want to put on everything. It's just a glitter brush. We sell these at Stampin' Up! On my store. My store is linked in the description of this video if you want to get sponge daubers, a silicone mat. What else did I use? Pattern party paper. What else did I use? This guy. I used Penguin Place. This paper is free. This paper here from my Bucket of Crafty Goodness. When you spend $50, you can get Penguin Playmates for free. You can either cut it with scissors, the hard way, or you can do it the easy way with the scan and cut all your little pieces of Crafty Goodness with the scan and cut. I just want to make sure there's enough room for this little coolest friend. So what I'm going to do is put the coolest friend first before I put the fox. But notice how these colors just coordinate. You got the little bit of Calypso Coral twine that I'm using, right? And that's coordinating with the fox's body. You got the little bit of fresh freesia in his scarf. That's one of our new ink colors. You got that coordinating with the little bit of fresh freesia right behind him. So, and I was going to use the other penguin with the just jade in it, but he was a little bit too big of a penguin, so he kind of didn't fit in my tag. So he'll be in a different tag, maybe with a snowman. Do you want to build a snowman? Okay, put him there. We'll let him stick out a little bit. Wait here. Maybe like that. I just want him to stick over the bottom a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to Wink Estella him. Or her. Could be a girl fox. We can never tell if it's a girl or a boy. It's just that the fox and the penguin are friends. That's the important thing. Winter friends. Okay, now we're going to put this little... I always do the Wink Estella afterwards. I mean, I don't always, but in this case, I don't want to get it all over my hand, so I'm doing it sort of after. I'm going to put the tree up there. Okay. And then I get my bling. My bling, by the way, is from one of my recent kits. We ran out of the kit. I think it was called Notes of Cheer. Pretty sure this is where this came from. But you get bling in a lot of kits. And these are this little sequins. We have others. We have ink color sequins that would work. I should be using my Take Your Pick tool for my sequins. There's a Take Your Pick tool to help you put sequins there. So you put some bling on your tag. And that's a completed project. Now that's how you do it. And I did it not mysteriously. I showed you how I did it. So now I'm going to show you my other projects I completed before this video, which led me to want to do a video because I was like, these are so fun. Oh, by the way, I think I need a little snowflake there. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. This snowflake came from, it was something about, I'm doing something in the future with this set. Gift giving bundle, gift giving tags. I forget what it's called, but there's this little, it's a bundle that goes with this Tailor made tags. And I think it's called gift giving dies or something. That's where the little snowflake came from. It's another bundle that goes with this to make the insides of the tags. But I cut out so many things at once that I just keep things in my little buckets. And these, like I said, these are the bigger snowflakes from the stitch snowflakes. These are ones from these little bows are from that other one. And like I said, this came from Cactus, Flowering Cactus Product Medley, if you're wondering where I got the Calypso Coral Twine, but that's retired now. But just save things because you never know when the colors are going to be useful in something else. That's what I do. And I save it because I save everything. So, okay, sometimes back with sticker paper. Yes, you could use sticker paper to make the tags. What kind of paper do you use for the tag part? What kind of paper do you use for the tag part? The tag part, did you miss? Wait, you must have came in late. This is, what paper did I use for the tag part? I'm thinking you're talking about this. This was the Designer Series paper I started with Yvonne. You're talking about this? It's Pattern Party. Designer Series paper. Right? And then I said I use cheap cardstock in the back, but you're not going to use cheap cardstock because it gets a little flimsy. You want to use thick, basic white cardstock. I just don't have any here. Well, I do, but not that I can use. That's kind of, it's already inside other projects. You want to use thick, basic white cardstock as your backing. Sticker paper, you can use adhesive sheets. We have Stampin' Up! Sells adhesive sheets. And I don't know if I'd waste them for putting them as a whole back for this. I tend to use my adhesive sheets for little things like, I'm just cleaning up. For like this little snowflake, this is a perfect use of your adhesive sheet because you make a snowflake sticker and it's intricate. That's a perfect use for a snowflake sheet. But it's not a perfect use when you want to use giant pieces like this because then you're wasting a big sticker, I think. And you just need a couple strips of, when you just need a couple strips of Stampin' Seal, it's going to be cheaper than using your 12x6 adhesive sheets. Okay, so let me see what other questions there are. Good afternoon, Deborah. And sorry for making you guys dizzy every time I say hi with the camera because my camera just droops. Jackie, hello Jackie, and Diana from Arizona, Robin from Australia. Yes, it is very easy and quick. I'm glad you like this, Deborah. I'm glad you like this technique. All right, so ready for drum roll, please. I will show you my penguin tags first, and then I'll show you my, let's put these here. Let's put this here for contrast. Oh no, we can leave my table. My table's good. So here are the ones I made earlier. And see how how quick we just made it together. Here are my other ones. I made this with the little piece of Pattern Party that had the plaid on it. I'm just going to show you that so you can kind of go before and after and go, oh, before and after. Now, before, let's just say you want to just take a penguin and you want to make a tag. And you're like, oh, I'll just stick it right on the paper. That's not going to look as good, right? Stick him on the black and white piece. There's no contrast. There's no, oh, how did they do that, right? Stick him on the piece of fresh freesia. It coordinates with his little hat, and you got a whole different tag. Okay, so that's how I did that one. Now, this one, how I did this one was, same thing. I took one of my, let me put this back, this penguin. I took this little guy. Here's your little guy. And I used this piece of Pattern Party Designer Series paper, just like I showed you. See, put him on the background there. Not so much contrast. You're like, right? No oomph. You put him on there. Look at that. You put him on the back of that with those colors from the coordinating colors. Misty Moonlight, just jade. Look at how that makes a difference, right? And the little fox. The little fox is just popped up, but he's not popped up. He's just right on the tag, and the little fox is popped up. Okay, so that's what you can do with this technique. You can just make your backgrounds be all sloppy, But when you die cut your tag, it turns it into something neat. Now I have all these extra pieces. I can color, die cut, whatever, punch out, do whatever you want with them. Okay, now let me show you what I did with these leaves. Okay, I took pieces of this. I'm just kind of showing you where I started so you can see my scraps. I took pieces of this paper and colored it with cinnamon cider that I watered down a little bit more than I watered down. This was my darker version of cinnamon cider. Then I watered it down a little bit, and you can see this is still cinnamon cider, but now it's looking more of like a tan color, right? So here's what I did with these. And these are not finished yet because I have an idea of using some squirrels. Squirrel! Okay, so you saw the ones we made here, and this is what I did with it. So here's what I did. In our clearance section, we have these cute little acorn trinkets. And I just dangled a little acorn trinket off of there. And I'm using our new little gingham ribbon from the holiday, what's it called? The Boo or Cute Halloween Suite. This little gingham ribbon that looks good for fall. And here's what I did with this. So that's just one tag, again, with just white in the background. And I probably should have used copper twine, but I used gold twine with the little copper acorn trinket. And here's another one. So I'm thinking there's these little squirrels, and they say something like, it's called Nuts About Squirrels, and I was maybe going to put a little squirrel there, and they say, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, or something like that, or Nuts About You. I'm not really sure, but I want to put some more things here, like some sentiments. But these little leaves are cut out in Cajun craze, and this is one more trick for the sponge dauber. That's why I wanted to end with this. So the sponge daubers have endless uses. You just saw what I did. This is called like watercoloring some background paper. But check out this use. You can take your sponge dauber when you're all done, and I told you that you can ink the edges of something. I told you I was going to do that when my sponge dauber dried a little bit, so you get to see sort of before and after. It really brings out the stitching of something. But not only that, I'm just going to do this so you can see the difference. Look at that. Look at the difference between when you ink around the edges of something and the extra dimension you give to something just by using the sponge dauber around the edges of something. Well, not only that, when you have these leaves here and you want to color the middles because maybe my dimensionals were sticking out a little bit, my white dimensional started sticking through the middle of these leaves, I just went like this and started coloring the middle of all my leaves with my sponge dauber. And it gave my leaves extra dimension, so the middles are darker. And then I made them a little bit darker too with the pencil, but I just wanted to make my leaves like 3D, which they are. So that's kind of what you can do, and that's the little trinket on clearance. And these little leaves, I'm going to see if I can't find this for you. This is, or the name of it, the dies. 1 second, because I just want to end with what I used to make these leaves from. Okay, I will end with this, with these dies that I used. And I'm going to be using these a lot more. I think I'm going to do my next series after my whirl is done, using these really cool dies. That's where I got these leaves from. Okay, so someone is saying she got your, okay, Diana's saying she got her last color collection. Good. Hey, I'm glad you got your in color collection. That was, I'm almost done the in color club. I think I sent most of you guys the in color club for Evening Evergreen. Aren't these cool dies? That's where I got these leaves from. That's where I got the snowflake from. The snowflake is from here. And this leaves are from here. And like I said, I'll be doing a lot more with these dies. These dies go with those other dies. They go with these. It's how to make the inside of your tags. And these are called gift-giving dies. So the possibilities are endless. I hope you enjoyed this Ink It Up tutorial. I hope you'll give these tags a try with whatever materials you have. And I thank you all for watching and commenting. And this is the Paper Chef. Have a great day.